afternoon everyone, saying I'm bringing you a bit of a sort of exclusive video about the timeline order that I acquired all my sort of watches. I've been collecting sort of watches the last maybe decade or so. Some of these watches are a bit more recent than that, but one of my first watches I probably got was probably 2014 or so. But the earliest date of the watches in this collection is 2018. And that one in question is this one here. So this is a Mathey Tissot Quartz Pepsi. And in the summer of 2018, I was looking for this sort of Pepsi design. I wanted a newer style GMT finish on the bezel. I wanted it to be quartz, I wanted it to be Swiss made, and I wanted a Jubilee strap. And funny enough, this is what ticked all those boxes. There's a bit of a debate about whether it's sort of Swiss or not, but it's there's no sort of inclination to say it's not. There's a good weight to it. The movement's good. The movement is probably gains a minute over 6 months, so it's very good sort of accuracy for it. I think the debate comes more into the sort of the movement, but there's no sort of inclination behind why it would be a sort of a Chinese version. It's very well made. It's lasted me nearly a decade in terms of ownership, so it's done really, really well. I haven't even serviced it once, and it's still working perfectly today, as you should expect, really, when you're paying sort of £300 or so for a watch. Yeah, so had I had any amount of money to spend on any sort of watch, I would buy a Rolex Pepsi. That would probably be one of the ones I'd go for. As a base starter, I'd go for that one of them. So that's Rolex Pepsi. Picked that up in summer of 2018. So I'm just going to turn this box around so you can then see the order with the watches when they're next to each other. So I've got that. It's Mathey Tissot Pepsi just at the top there. This to the side. Just put that there for the time being so we can tell what's there. Limited on space. So the next one in question actually is the one on this little holder here. It is called the Luminox Master Carbon Seal Navy Seal watch. So it's a limited edition model. I think it's limited to 750 models created, and the original idea behind it was they were making a set number of pieces for use by the Navy SEALs, and this sort of created this phenomenon in terms of more Navy SEAL watches being created and meeting a lot of demand in that area. So I wanted a watch essentially for playing sport in and going on holiday in the water and stuff like that. I wanted one that was really, really strong, really, really rugged, that I can use whilst working as well, working in the garden, working on, like, for example, on site, or working with a lot of heavy equipment. I wanted something that's going to tick all those boxes. And I discovered Luminox, and then after looking around a little bit, this watch caught my eye instantly, pretty much. So back in sort of December 2019, I discovered this sort of watch. It was, in my eyes, it's the perfect sort of blend of the sort of the blue and the sort of black mixed together. So it's the perfect tint for me, that dial. You can see it's a slight blue effect on the main dial there, with a nice sort of red second hand going around. It even has a gold-plated movement, so the specification for this watch is really, really deep. You also might notice that it's waterproof to 300 meters as well, so there's a huge spec behind this, and it's one of those watches that I simply love since from day one. And the reason I couldn't really get rid of it is I don't really want to sell it. I love the watch, and the fact that it's limited as well. It's probably would go for quite a bit, but it's not the money that interests me for it. It's holding on to a nice timepiece that I've loved for many years. So that was the next sort of one in my collection, was the Luminox Master Carbon Seal. That's not going to stand up, is it? I'm just going to lay it on this side. So that was number 2. Any sort of guesses at sort of number 3? If I just show you this sort of collection here that we've got, I'll zoom out just a little bit so we've got a bit more visual on what's going on here. Get my camera to just sit still for a second. So the next one actually was this one here. So this is an interesting piece. Probably you're thinking, oh, well, that doesn't look anything like the sort of style that you're after. Well, if you've actually compared them like for like, that Pepsi and that Luminox and this Accurist, they're all very different types. And the reason I went for this Accurist is I wanted something a bit more traditional, something as something a bit more different. I like something different, as you can tell from the colour that's going on with my collection. I wanted something different, and I wanted something perhaps a bit more leaning towards the British heritage side of things. And then I discovered this sort of watch. Initially, it came from liking the look of it online, and then I read into it and realised, wow, that could be a collector's piece when I when I get older, for example, I could pass it on. And it's known as the Accurist Grand Complication. So it's a GMT 320W if you want to Google that if you like. Only a certain number of these were made. Don't quote me on this, but it sounds around about 200 were made. But essentially there was a collaboration between the Royal Observatory and Accurist, the watch creators. They wanted to essentially bring the 1999 technology into the new millennium, showcase essentially what was possible in terms of watchmaking. They wanted to bring like a celebration of this partnership and what was really possible in terms of watchmaking. So it's a huge complication watch. You've got a fully working moon phase that works with the calendar of the moon sort of cycles. You've also got the leap year counter in the bottom centre dial there. You've also got the month, you've got the 24-hour readout, you've got seconds counter on these dials here. You've also got obviously main time, and you've got the day and the date as well. So there's a whole load of different functions here. Fully functioning, just don't wear it in water if you've got one. If you can find one of these, I'd highly recommend picking one up. They're a really, really nice watch, and they're not too expensive either. This one set me back around about $350 originally, and there was a couple on eBay for a bit less, but I think if you get these from auction, a bit more now. But if you can pick one up early, you might be able to save it for an investment purpose. But it does also do a stopwatch function as well. So you just hold down that little button on the side there, and it converts it into a chronograph that I can now show you. See that? Fully working chronograph. It's a really, really nice watch. I don't really wear it that often. It's quite a delicate watch, so don't wear it anywhere near water, and I'd wear it on the specialist occasions. So now we've got that one there. So that was sort of six, well, not 6 watches, there was 3 watches. That was sort of 3 watches bought over sort of a 6-year period. So quite a bit of extent between the sort of these main 3 here, with this one joining in sort of July 2023. So it's quite a sort of a long sort of gap there, spending about 1,300 across sort of a 6-year period for those sort of watches. But now we move into sort of 2024 and onwards, so moving a bit deeper into the sort of the collection that I started to bring together, and this one was actually a gift. So this one here is a Seiko Prospex Speedtimer, and this one comes very closely to, in terms of date acquisition, to the this Tissot here, but we'll get onto that in a minute. So this is the Seiko Prospex Speedtimer, and it's a fully solar powered dial with a battery power reserve in the back. So this watch made me fall in love with the sort of Panda Daytona look. I wasn't really big on the Daytona looks from looking at sort of fake Rolexes and stuff like that over time. I wasn't big on the design, but when I saw this in person and when I saw it online, I was deeply in love with it because of the polar white dial and the sort of jet black dials, that slightly blue tinge to them, slightly blue tint there, with the jet black bezel. It made me really fall in love with it. The only problem was it was very heavy strap, so I put it onto an unbranded cheap sort of black silicone strap just to sort of complement it a bit more. And so yeah, this one set my partner back originally around about £600 back in January 2024. And interestingly enough, this one, the issue with this one was the button fell off on the side, which I thought, wow, that's really bad. I've only had it sort of a few months. So then that actually leads us on to the next one here. So this one broke, this one sort of had an issue, so I had to take it back to the main store to get it repaired, essentially, and get it sent back off to Japan. And then that led to me picking up this one right here. So this Tissot PRX I saw in the window of the shop where I had to bring this watch in for repair. Saw it in the window passing by, and I did debate getting a Tissot PRX over time. I wasn't too sure on it, but when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I love it. I love the look of that in the window. And when I was handling it in the store itself, I was really pleased at the ability for the watch to change colour in different sort of scenes as well. It looks really good outside. That's why I'm a little bit sort of skeptical about wearing it. I usually wear it when it's really, really sunny, or if I haven't worn it in a while or something like that. It's a watch that I regret not wearing more of, really. But then it just shows how much I love the other ones, really. I love this watch, but I love the others even sort of more, really. This one set me back around about £320. It's a bit of a sort of an impulse buy, really. I really like the sleek design of it. I like the sort of the retro idea behind it. It's got a really good specification as well, really good movement. It's just simple yet nice, bright and bold and colourful. Quite like my colours, as you can see. Yeah, so that one came into my collection around about April 2024. So later on in that year, there was this extra one here. It was a bit out of camera just for now, but we'll have a little focus on it now. Was this one. A little bit on the opposite end of the scale in terms of price, but this one's the Fossil Decker CH2867. So the reason behind this was I wanted to essentially get a watch that was a bit more different, a bit more, it's hard to sort of say that nowadays, but essentially when I saw this, I thought that's a bit different. Or pure orange hands and orange sort of increments. I hadn't seen many of these sort of watches online, and this watch reminded me of something that would happen if you mixed a watch with a Geiger counter. So just let that sink in for a bit and have a little look at the aesthetics of the watch. Does this look like a sort of Geiger counter watch to you? And that's why I sort of kept it. And in terms of the price, they don't retail a lot for second-hand market. I'd rather just keep it on display. It's only about £70 when you resell it, but I wanted to sort of keep it just as a nice little extra timepiece, really. Perhaps a spare one. Yeah, that's what I thought, and that's the aesthetic that won me over, really. It was the sort of look of, it looks a bit like a Geiger counter mixed with a watch. So that came into my collection in April 2024. So now moving into sort of again, just on that as well, spent around about 1,200. So actually probably about £100 less than the previous sort of 6 years expense, really, on the watches. So I'm just gonna move these up a little bit. So the next sort of ones we started with was the Rainbow Paul Rich watch. So I had a Rainbow watch some years ago, and it didn't quite grow on me. But then when I saw this one and I was doing a review of it, I really quite liked it. I liked the sort of rainbow baguette bezel that was going on here. I liked the black dial. I liked the sort of ice gems in the middle. Everything I quite liked about it. I was a little bit unsure about the black face originally and the stainless steel hands, but over time this watch simply grew on me, and it was literally because I wanted something, again, a bit more different, something I haven't really quite got already, and it was this rainbow style watch. Retailing around about 270, and I picked this up around about November 2025 after doing sort of a review of it, really. Quite liked it, so I wanted one in my collection. Another one was this GEYA Celestial. So this is a, again, very, very different. Every single watch here is pretty much very different to the previous one. This is a GEYA Planetary Celestial watch, limited edition, costs around about £300, acquired in December 2025. And this is something I saw, funnily enough, on Instagram. And I thought, that's very different. Let's have a look at that. And then it was on reduction in price, and I thought, let's have a look at a couple of those and review them. And after seeing them, I was quite pleased. I'm quite into sort of the spacey theme, as you can see from the sort of next watch coming up here, which is the Bulova. I'm quite into sort of the spacey scene behind watches and spacey sort of stories. And that takes into sort of consideration the this sort of watch's design, really. There's quite a lot of sort of spacey elements to it, and it actually mixes two movements together. You've got a quartz movement and a automatic movement mixed together. So you've got automatic movement here that just shows sometimes when you're wearing it, it just shows a little bit of open heart movement, and you've got quartz one behind the main mechanism for the clock. I was a bit sad to see that these little things don't move as the time goes on, which is a shame, but it's still a nice aesthetic to see them there. And I quite like the sort of bronze with the blue. There's a bit of a unique mix there. So down to sort of the last two. This one was picked up in sort of similar sort of time to the GEYA. It was the Bulova Lunar Pilot. Now, I did do a review of this a little bit earlier, back in 2025 and 2024, and I was umming and ahhing about it for a couple of years, and I wasn't sure about it. And then on that sort of the third and final review I did of it, I made the decision to go and keep the watch. I wanted something that was that had a good sort of backstory behind it, and I quite liked the aesthetic. I quite liked something that was simple yet a little bit bold at the same time, and this is what sort of popped out to me. And there was a choice of this or the sandblasted one. So the sandblasted one had a bit more sort of a matte finish on the outside, and I quite liked the comfort of the NATO straps. That was really, really nice on the wrist. And I love the deep specification behind the spec. For example, I like the fact it's got 260 kilohertz movement, which is ultra accurate, essentially atomic. And I quite like the fact that I've got that, and it's a simplicity sort of start watch, yet it has a bold characteristic to it. Really, really nice watch. One of my favourite ones. And then lastly, probably one of the most expensive ones I've got actually is this one here. This one is the Luminox Mil Spec 3350, around about £700 retail price that I paid. Well, my friend paid for it, and got it in December 2025, late in December. Oh, I think it was my birthday in 2026 in January. But yeah, Luminox Mil Spec, and this was what I was debating a while over the Luminox Master Carbon Seal. And then you guys can obviously comment which one you might prefer. But it's, I think I wanted to upgrade the Luminox Mil Spec, but I didn't really want to get rid of it. I really wasn't sure about getting rid of it. And then I went and got the Luminox Mil Spec. I decided, well, I didn't really want to have two, because I have these Luminox Mil Specs to wear for football, as mentioned before, and things like that. But I didn't know where I wanted the second one. But I simply love this watch that much. I just had to have it and have two of them. And then I decided to have this one as my new main, and then have this one on display, and then wear it on the occasion. I love the sort of the thick seconds hand going on there. I love the deep specification behind it, hence that Mil Spec name. I love the boldness. I also love the grey bezel. It's very sort of different to me. The strap is a little bit uncomfortable at times, but I've got used to that with just wearing it on like a lower setting. So this one was picked up in December 2026. Or January sort of 2020, not December 2026, sorry, January 2026. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next video.